Beauty is often hidden in facial proportions, small structural changes, and features we're not consciously aware of. Even small differences affect our perspective of a face without being able to pinpoint what exactly is different. We are designed to notice even the smallest changes in facial structures for social and reproductive purposes. Thus, facial features are not only attractive to observe, but on subconscious level, they provide an insight in one's health and habits. That raises a question of what happens when health and habits improve, and thus facial appearance changes as well. So to gain insight in correlation between habits and facial development, it's necessary to understand the impact of habits adopted in the early childhood. For instance, different ways of feeding a newborn lead to development of different swallowing patterns and the use of different muscle groups in a child. Since all children are born with a sucking reflex, breastfeeding is the initial step in forming a beneficial swallowing pattern and use of facial muscles. Those two habits create a proper resting tongue posture that is a crucial factor for proper craniofacial development, especially during a time of rapid growth hormone production. So John Mewing, amongst many others, researched about the effect of different tongue posture on a child. His especially interesting studies are those done on twins that had developed a similar poor oral posture as a consequence of being exposed to the same environment. So he would treat one of the twins, implementing the devices and exercises in order for a child to adopt the proper tongue posture, while the other twin would often be treated by orthodontist and wouldn't experience the change in tongue posture. Results of his research suggest that adopting a proper tongue posture affects the craniofacial development in a positive way, creating a more attractive facial features. On the contrary, neglecting a proper tongue posture leads to the deformity of craniofacial complex, teeth misalignment, and decline in the overall facial attractiveness. Decline in the facial attractiveness is often followed by the narrowing of the airways, which are associated with sleep-related disorders such as snoring or sleep apnea, which have been proven to impact the cognitive abilities of a child. So, to understand different growth patterns, let's look more into a famous siblings example of Gigi and Bella Hadid. They have same parents, similar genetic material, and are close to age, which then gives them very similar potential for developing an attractive face. Even though today Bella is considered one of the most beautiful women on the planet, let's go back in time and compare her true facial structure to her sisters. These are Gigi and Bella in their early childhood, showing very similar facial features. Even though slight differences in their mid-face are visible, nose shape seems similar. Bella's face is already slightly longer, which makes her look older than her older sister Gigi. In addition, Bella's under eye area has less support than Gigi's, which suggests the slight downgrowth of the maxilla even in that early age. With time, those differences became more apparent since Gigi's maxilla followed up and forward growth. Bella's maxilla continued the started growth pattern. In their early teen years, their facial development manifested as a different facial attractiveness, especially in the mid-faces. For that reason, and under pressure from her modeling family past, at the age of 14, Bella has undergone surgical procedures in order to gain a more attractive face. The most obvious facial change is Bella's nose, even though others claim she had other, much more subtle procedures done. On the other hand, Gigi's face looks more mature as she has developed more structure in her face, but her features stayed pretty consistent throughout the years. Bella's transformation didn't stop after rhinoplasty. Her nose continued to change into a similar shape of her natural nose, suggesting the continuation of the pattern of her facial development. Nevertheless, both Gigi and Bella have very pretty facial features, but only one of them developed an attractive craniofacial complex that suits those features naturally. Taking in consideration Dr. John Mewing's studies and the effect that certain tongue posture has on a face, It's easy to recognize upswing and downswing growth of the face, but do we have to rely on cosmetic surgeries in order to reverse the pattern of our craniofacial development? Luckily, the answer to that question lies in a concept called mewing. Mewing is a practice of reversing unbeneficial habits of oral posture that were developed in an early childhood, then carried into later childhood, teenage years, and adulthood. It is built on a tropic premise which states that resting oral posture includes tongue on the roof of the mouth, teeth that are slightly touching, mouth is closed, and lips are sealed. Described posture should be practiced for 4 to 8 hours a day, along with proper swallowing pattern and nose breathing. Mewing is based on the tongue's ability to create pressure on the upper palate, by which maxilla, bone that is placed in the middle of our face, is being expanded, moved up and forward, while lower jaw and other facial bones follow its lead. Those changes are reflected in more compact mid-face, better under-eye support, high cheekbones, more prominent chin, and sharp jawline. In addition to those changes, dental arch becomes more wide, teeth become properly aligned, while nose becomes smaller and more straight. Adopting a tropic premise isn't easy, since it involves a complete change in improper but comfortable oral posture, especially in immature age, where that posture is supported by structural growth of the craniofacial complex. Nonetheless, for those eager to change is possible even in an adult age. Our facial bones are connected by sutures which don't fuse until very old age. Therefore, maxilla is adaptable to change and expansion under consistent pressure. The key to changing your face with mewing is consistency. The rest follows. The orthotropic community shares their results in order to reach bigger audience, in order to share this simple yet often overlooked knowledge of gaining more attractive and healthy facial structure. Check out the rest of the transformations available on this channel to motivate yourself to improve now, and you'll be grateful for it in the future.